Really excited about year 3 of our basketball program and team. I guess in some ways you can separate the two. But, guys have been working extremely hard, and staff has been working hard to get to this point. I don't know if this is a make or break year for us, but this is something that we've talked a lot about, and of year 3 and beyond, and we think we're in a good place. We've had to improve in a lot of areas. Obviously, you guys know we've had some changes over the first 2 years, even on our coaching staff, with bringing in Coach Pelfrey and Coach Yassir over the last 2 years, and Petway's been here since day one, and so those guys, it's been fun to watch how those guys have all come together from a chemistry standpoint. But again, I'm just excited. I know we got a lot of work to do. When you have, high expectations, I don't think we're going to be picked to come in 13th in the SEC like we were in year 1. But I think when you have higher expectations, you got to have a stronger accountability model, more hard work, better decision making, trust, and all of those things. And it's just not going to happen overnight. But we're working on it. The men have been practicing hard, and I'm really proud of the progress we've made. But trust me, we have a long way to go. Before I continue, let me just get to kind of what I know you guys want to know about. Obviously, we had an unfortunate situation with one of our staff members that led to his resignation. But I'm confident in our compliance department, athletic department, and just our administration and doing things in a first-class manner with a lot of integrity. We have been proactive throughout this process with all of the different proper authorities, and when I have more information on it, I'll share it with you guys. I think I've tried to be, forthcoming and transparent since I've been here. I want that to continue. But as of right now, I don't have any other updates on that situation. In terms of our personnel, Riley Norris has a hip injury. He's week to week. He suffered that hip injury Monday in practice. So he's week to week. We don't think it's anything going to be long term, but he's obviously got a rehab, and hopefully we'll get him back as soon as possible. Everybody else is available for practice today, and they've all had their ups and downs throughout these training camp style practices, but they're improving. Some of the highlights, I like what our returning players have been doing. Dejon and Braxton and Dante and Daniel, even though he redshirted last year, and AJ and even Riley before the injury. Those guys have been trying to provide more leadership. They understand when we talk about the small, minute details of our game offensively and defensively. They understand how important it is. They understand how to get you beat if you don't space the floor, if you don't catch the ball with 2 hands, if you don't make your free throws. If you're not playing unselfish and not giving up your body or rebounding or, attacking zone defenses, zone presses, or getting deflections on defense. They understand all of the minor details and how big they can play in the course of a game in the season. So they've done a good job of leading our team, and we're going to need their leadership. All of our freshmen have been very competitive, very energetic, coachable. They're excited. All of those kids think they're really good. I think that's a good thing. They say, well, or some of the guys need to be humbled a little bit. Yeah, maybe in some ways, but we wanted the type of personalities that we've added to our personnel this year because we're going to need it. We're going to need it because we have an outstanding schedule this year, which you guys know our schedule now, and we're going to have to have the right mindset, the right physicality, to be successful both in non-conference and in conference. Our pro day was a huge success, huge success. They had a lot of scouts that had never been to Tuscaloosa, okay, especially for a basketball event. So it was a huge success. I think we had over 50 scouts, and they were blown away by our facilities. And obviously, they weren't here because of my dynamic personality. They needed to see some potential pros, and they like a lot of what they saw. I had a chance to have a reception with those guys after the event was over, and it was pretty interesting, the conversation about some of our guys. But that was a huge success. That was something that we wanted to add in year 3 and beyond, to give our guys a chance to display their abilities in front of a lot of those scouts. Sure, I am pro-education, okay? Just for those of you who are new, I am pro-education, but for those young men that have potential to play at the next level, we want to help them get there at the appropriate time. So that's what that exercise and pro day was all about. Tide tip-off is coming up October 24th. Excited that we're going to be partnering again with our women's basketball team and Coach Christie, and that's going to be a fun night. We're going to have a little bit of a different concept this year. Last year we tried something like an NBA All-Star Saturday night event. I didn't like it as much. We're going to play a lot more this year. We're going to scrimmage. So we'll still have some three-point shootouts. We'll let the guys dunk a little bit at the end, but we're going to at least play a half of a game in scrimmage in front of our fans. So we're excited about that. In terms of recruiting, obviously can't mention any names, but we think we'll have another pretty competitive recruiting class this year. We're involved with some high-level kids. Hopefully we'll sign some early. Hopefully we'll sign some late. It's probably going to be a little bit different than what we had last year because we don't quite know what's going to happen with our roster come springtime, especially with the draft. So, hopefully we'll sign 1 or 2 kids early, and depending on what happens with our roster, be able to get some kids later in the second signing period. Excited about homecoming this weekend. Proud of our football team. They play the right way, and we're going to be there to support them. We got some kids obviously coming in. We've had 2 kids come in on officials. We got some kids coming in this weekend on officials, and we get a chance to again display what a beautiful place and campus that we have here at the university. So I'll stop right there, Aaron. Hopefully that updated you on some things, and but we'll open it up for questions.
Avery, this is kind of a 2-parter, so I'll get through the first one first. Can you what was your initial reaction to the FBI investigation when it went down, and I guess just seeing everything, the names were involved, the people, what was your initial reaction to that?
Well, anytime something happens that's not a positive with college basketball, it's disappointing, but the main thing is you got to just keep your head down, keep moving, keep working, and hopefully whatever is going on, it'll all work itself out. But when situations negatively happen, you're not only thinking about the people whose faces are out there on TV or on the internet. There are a lot of family members behind the scenes, that kids and wives and moms and dads, that it affects their lifestyle also.
What was your reaction when you learned one of your staffers was actually involved in all that?
Well, you're not happy about it. You're disappointed, but we'll just let that process, run its course, and we've moved on. And our guys are working hard, and they're excited about, the outlook of this season, and they understand there's just going to be a lot of work on and off the court. It makes our decisions off the court. When you're drawing a lot of attention to yourself, you got to be very careful.
Avery, you've been on the NBA side for one and done. Have you sought advice from the college side on possibly a couple of guys one and done, how to handle them as the year progresses? Did you seek any advice, or are you just going to go for field? Or?
No, we've sought advice. I'm a big research guy. and I like to ask questions. I don't think I've ever presented myself to you guys like I'm a know-it-all. I think the craft of coaching, you're forever learning. Situations like dealing with potential one-and-dones, I've never had to deal with that before, so I ask other coaches who've been in that situation. Fortunately, we have a lot of football players that enter the draft after year 3, so there's a certain way from a compliance standpoint, class schedules, especially when you know those guys, there's a high probability that they're going to go in the first round, that you have to make sure you set their situations up accordingly, and we've tried to do the same thing. But yes, I've asked coaches that have been involved with college basketball for a long time how they've handled situations and have sought advice. Coaches? Well, obviously we have one in our conference that, has a doctorate degree in one-and-dones, right?
Avery, two-part question. Obviously, in the release we got announcing Kobe's resignation, they said there was an internal review of the program done. After that was finished, are you confident that that was the extent of your program's involvement in this FBI stuff, was Kobe's involvement?
Yeah, that's to the extent of what I know. That's the extent of it. I haven't gotten any updates recently about anything.
And as a follow-up, have you hired a replacement for Kobe yet? And will this scandal sort of change how you approach hiring members of your staff?
Well, when we're hiring folks, we do a lot of research and a lot of investigation into their background and, recent job employment. Pretty much we do a very detailed, we have a very detailed process. So when things happen that are unfortunate, you deal with it. We've addressed it internally in terms of we're not hiring anybody. We have some other folks that are stepping up in our department, and that's how we'll handle it, and we'll address that position probably after the season.
Just a quick one. Are you confident that all guys will be eligible to play this season?
Yeah, we don't have any eligibility concerns at the moment, unless somebody notifies us in the future about something. But right now, all of our players are eligible to play.
Yeah, can you just talk about the Pro Day a little more, what that meant for this program and what it's like to have that in this year 3?
Well, it meant a lot to us because one of the things we said in terms of trying to grow the program, we want to have a balanced program. We want to have guys that have the potential to go one and done, but we would like to have 2 and done, and we want some 4-year guys. We want a blended program and a balanced program. And to have those scouts here, obviously they think we have some guys that have potential to play at the next level. I don't think any of those guys hurt themselves in that workout. They were all playing at a high level. But anytime you can get 50 execs to come to Tuscaloosa to watch a pro day, that means you're headed in the right direction. Now, the responsibility of that is, when the season starts, if you have more talent, then you should expect better results. And that's on me. That's not on the players.
Avery, Coach K had a pretty long soliloquy on after the investigation stuff came out that the system is broken right now. I was just curious, what would you like to see changed that could maybe help kind of clean up some of the...
Well, see, first of all, I haven't been in the system long enough, but I will say this. In terms of the draft process, I think that needs to be addressed. I don't know how effective the one and done as it relates to AAU basketball and the NBA. I don't know if it's all working. I would hope that there could potentially in the future be maybe a baseball rule like baseball, or what football is doing, or just straight 2 and done. I would like to see young men who have the potential to play in the NBA get there as soon as they can. but I think we just have to have a better unified program in how we address it, because obviously there are some flaws in the system, and I think, it needs to be improved. But obviously Coach K has a tremendous amount of experience because he's been looking at it from from 2,000 feet. He's been really close to it. A lot of us are further away, but and especially with all of his experiences with USA basketball, recruiting kids out of high school, a lot of his players going to the NBA. So I think for me, my main problem with the whole system is what are we going to do to address, where we are with the one and done situation. Either let them go out of high school or maybe stay longer than 1 year.
Avery, two-parter. One thing relating to the FBI investigation and one thing basketball related. Just with the FBI investigation, when everything came out and Kobe, everything happened with Kobe, did Kobe come to you guys after everything happened with the FBI investigation, or was that something you guys were alerted to and then made a decision with Kobe?
No, nobody came to us. No. And remember, as I've said in my statement, when we have more information, me, I'll share it with you, okay?
And then basketball-wise, Braxton was talking about the fact that you've shown guys film of the Spurs and just the way they do things. Just how much do you show them film of the Spurs or any other NBA teams, and what's the motivation and rationale for you just in terms
Well, we don't just show NBA teams. We show other college teams that have been consistent and repetitive in terms of their approach on offense and defense, and we'll show great chemistry with teams or bad chemistry. So yes, we'll from time to time use some examples with NBA teams, but that's only half of it. We'll show some stuff with teams that have won the championship recently, maybe teams that have been successful in the SEC, or we use a lot of different video of teams both on the NBA and the collegiate level. But it's all for teaching purposes. Maybe some teams close out really good. We'll show that video. Maybe we'll show it compared to how we close out, or rebound, or space the floor. But at the same time, a lot of our guys watch a lot of NBA basketball. I showed a situation with the player from the Boston Celtics. I won't mention his name, but he basically ran from the right corner to the left wing and dove on the floor for a 50-50 ball. And he got on the floor, muscled it from the opponent, threw it to one of his teammates for a slam dunk. Now, that's not going to get a lot of press. It's not going to show up a lot on SportsCenter. But I utilized that particular example because I was trying to make a point about 50-50 ball and getting your knees dirty and getting on the floor.
Coach, with as many newcomers as you have, you lost your leading rebounder from last year. You still have to defend around the basket. How are the guys on the inside progressing for you?
We're a little bit different because, at the 4 position this year, depending on how we start, we're going to be a lot more skilled. We won't be as big, but a lot more skilled. So you got somebody at that position that can pass, dribble, and shoot. And as I've alluded to in the past season, a lot of times, we were really, really good offensive rebounding team because we were rebounding misses. I hope to not miss as much this year. I hope we have more makes, and I hope we have limited attempts to rebound the ball offensively. But, we're going to be a lot smaller probably to start games, a lot more flexible in terms of our offensive approach. We'll see how that affects our defense. I didn't really like our defense in Canada. We weren't as good as we need to be successful, especially with our non-conference and conference schedule.
Avery, you've been quoted as comparing, Herb Jones to young Scottie Pippen, talking about.
Really? I said that?
On the radio, I guess.
Send it to me in the tweet. I want to see what I said.
We'll check with that. Obviously, things like that. You talked about, like, just a minute ago, that possibly playing, 3 or 4 guard lineups. Are you at all embracing kind of the, for lack of a better term, hype around the young group on this team and kind of the coming into this season? Are you kind of, have you come around to embracing that at this point, or what?
Well, I'm not an embrace the hype guy. Obviously I do some things on social media to try to promote our program, but the hype doesn't work, man. It doesn't work. When we get ready to play against these teams, and you guys know the schedule, the hype's not going to win you a game. It's not going to win a possession. You got to play basketball. I do like the idea that we can start games off this year with 2 point guards, multiple guys that can handle the ball. We're going to potentially have 4 guys out there that can all pass, dribble, and shoot. Hopefully that'll make us much more harder to guard or scout with different guys that can handle the ball and play on the ball and off the ball. Our foot speed has increased, so I'm hoping that we can rebound a lot more long rebounds. Our analytics showed us that we weren't very good at rebounding 3-point misses. So I'm hoping that we'll be much more effective and harder to defend and be able to give teams multiple looks on both the offensive and the defensive end because of all of the different guys that we have. Now, to Herb, here's a kid that's added some weight since he's been here, and he's been, he's doing great in the classroom, straight A student, but he's been very competitive. And even though I used the Scottie Pippen analogy or compared him to a young Scottie Pippen, if he gets to that level, that's good news for Alabama basketball. Did Tony get married or engaged? That's what I thought. I saw that on social media. Thanks.